So can you actually believe people do altcoin videos like this where they're pointing at the screen, they're doing all kinds of shite? Honestly, people fall for that. Let's get to the proper video. So let's get onto some quality video analysis. Why not? Because I don't need a mobile phone to do this. Let's do it properly. So we're going to talk today about sell in May and go away. Is it going to happen? Are we going to get that period between May and Halloween where the markets are a bit dry? But we have been dry throughout the course of 2022. It's been absolutely crap. It really has been, right? If you're new around here, welcome. If you like what I do, leave the video a like. And if you want to join the team, press the subscription button. It does help. Now, let's talk about it. Not too long ago, I was talking about April being a really strong contender to be a good month. Why is that? Because past data goes on about it. We will talk about it in a bit. But what I want to go on to is it the right attitude to have in terms of just walking away a little bit and kind of leaving your investments alone and just watching to see what happens, waiting for those orders to kind of potentially materialize in terms of potential opportunities, or if you're in the market, just see what's going to happen, certainly if you're playing the risk management game. So let's get to the screen. Let's talk about this kind of old witch tale, or this old tale from the past. And let's have a little look at what the other markets are telling us in terms of the data and all that kind of good stuff. So here we are. Hello. Sell in May and go away. Okay. So it's essentially a well-known financial kind of thing where underperforming months are kind of materialized basically between May and the end of October, compared to the wintry 6-month period of November to April. Usually a lot better. Even in cryptocurrency, you see a lot more returns in that period. But it is old school, it is a methodology, it's an old saying. Is it true though? Well, this is what we need to look at. And obviously you can see here the S&P 500 returns from the last however many years ago. Yeah, it's all right, but realistically nowhere near as good. So what it kind of means is from this old region here where the old boffins and rich kids will kind of go into the countryside in London and the UK and go and enjoy the summer and not be bothered by the markets. And it kind of does make sense, essentially. And as I say, it sometimes rings true when you look at the data. The data is interesting, right? So as I said before, April was supposed to be a good month. It's not. Unless something mental happens over this weekend, we're probably going to close on a red one. Now, you can see in the data that March is a little bit topsy-turvy. We had an alright March in terms of BTC, but when we look at the Ethereum side of it, more on the side of the altcoins, it's been a lot stronger, and it has been a massively stronger case for the altcoins through February, March and April over the last number of years. You can see that's very, very clear. But going into May and June is a lot more red in certainly in the prior years, or even not much growth materialized, okay? Versus what we have seen. But you can see very, very clearly that January and February and March on altcoins are pretty bullish. So is October, November and a little bit of December as well on the most part versus some of the other previous months. It's interesting to note how a part of the middle is pretty wishy-washy. Some good months, some strong months, much stronger months, and obviously some heavy returns as well. So there's a definite case that there's a lot more red in this band here than there is on here, and also, well, in terms of the wintry months, is, you know, you got some big ones and some crap ones. So it's an interesting point. So will that happen? Well, this is what we need to think and talk about. Earnings season, not doing great, is it? The markets, the stock market? No, it's not. Definitely not. No, Ash, it's not. The futures is down today. As I record this, it's roughly about an hour, or about half an hour before the markets open in the US. And we're still down on the futures. They have been all morning. Yesterday was an interesting day, but we've had, if we look at the last month has been pretty awful. For the entire market, we've had a huge Dow Jones dip. S&P 500 dip, starting to turn a little bit, but it's not looking great. NASDAQ, the worst one, bang. It's lost nearly 2,000 points nearly. That's crazy when you think about it. Why has that happened? Well, we've got to look at the fundamentals. The dollar is strong. The markets are turning. Okay, there's a lot of lower highs appearing. So that's always going to affect us. So when we talk about returns, return of investment, The stock market, in my opinion, is relatively high. It has been for a while. We're always going to kind of retrace, especially when you got all kinds of things with earnings. When we go back to the COVID world, oh, everyone's up and about doing certain things and their life's pretty good. Why is that? Because everyone's buying Netflix or buying into Peloton, all kinds of good stuff, right? Because they're bored, right? That kind of happens. So we're going to be careful. Be very, very careful. Now, talking about returns, let's talk about making some passive income. Now, I often recommend BlockFi, but in today's video, I'm going to say a compound calculator to show it in a much better light. If you are in America, sorry, you're probably going to have a few issues. Not registered by the SEC, make sure you understand that. So, yeah, sorry, there's a disclaimer below with the full details. But let's talk about compounding of monies, right? If we are in a period where we've got to sit on our hands for a bit, you want to make your money work for you. It's as simple as that, it really is. Now, if you put 50,000 in and get an approximately 6% return of investment on interest, which is pretty good as an average, over 5 years, if you're compounding that and you're adding $1,000 in every single month, let's have a little look at what that could turn out to be. If we're going to look at the graph over the course of the month, it is going to exponentially grow. Very, very simple. What does that mean though? Well, it means that you could be earning a decent chunk of money by doing nothing, right? Literally. Over the course of that period, in terms of the years, you could be making a decent chunk, $27,000 on top of what you've already put in. That's quite a lot in stable currencies, right? This is not going to move up or down. If we want to add even more to this, we could, if you're going to add like $2,000 every single month to this, it's going to obviously compound even more, depending on what your risk appetite is and what you've got in savings and stuff. So remember, money working for you is always a good solution. Anyways, market, hello. So, for me, weekly time frame, is it worth just waiting? I think so. I think it's make or break for BTC. Looking at this, it looks very horrible. Price action isn't great. Yes, people will be arguing it's a bull trend, but we are at the point of pretty much breaking this right now. So we've got to look at certain things. Certainly when you're looking at, the trend formation, if we are going to do, a trend line, which is a bit wrong anyways, because you're going to be using week to week, body to body, all kinds of random weird combinations of those, which you shouldn't be. You should be flowing with consistency. You're going to find that you're probably below that trend line. Is this a candle that breaks the camel's back? Potentially, yes. It could be the one that breaks this trend. And this is a trend. From this point here, from the 19th of January, give or take, this has been a series of highs and higher lows until now. Okay, so we've got to be somewhat alert to that. The market's already dropped this morning a little bit. You can see that, it's kind of clear. So we have to be somewhat careful. The dominance of the USD and all the stable coins are currently flowing out the market. This runs with the market. I've inverted my chart. If you want the full details on that, check out my Patreon. It will help you massively in the market. I will guarantee you. What an indicator. But yeah, we've got to look at the overall kind of bias of the market. What is happening elsewhere? Well, the dollar is still strong, but it has had a bearish candle. Amazing, isn't it? All right. But yeah, looking at the monthly, whoo-hoo, bang. That monthly close is going to be massive. Look at it. That is one of the biggest candles we've seen in a long, long time in the history of the dollar. When we're looking at the size of it, obviously there's some big ones down here in 2008. Okay, recession. No, sorry, I'm not going to go there. But you see the picture, right? It's a monster. It's a real monster, and it's all fundamental based. It's a reason why the interest rates are good. Well, I say good, hiking back up. You know what I mean? Employment rates going up. The economy is growing again because everything's open. Problems in Ukraine, Russia. People don't want to use certain currencies. They want to use a dollar. Why is it bullish? That's why. Okay, it's not because of the technicals. It's because of that. Pretty obvious. Now, we need to look at this as well. This indicates the strength of the economy. 10-year yield on the bonds, right? Usually investment in the economy is good. And this is a monster downtrend, but it's trying to get out of it. Maybe that could be one big coloration we could look at. Now, as I said before, NASDAQ has been created for the first time in a long time, a very clear and obvious lower high. If we create a new low from this point, so obviously the next week's probably going to be pretty key, or the next 2 weeks, it could get pretty ugly if the NASDAQ is going to drop. So just be careful with that. Please, honestly, be careful. If you are investing in the stock market right now, and you are thinking, I'm going to just load up, you know, kind of this isn't really the place to do it. If you're on the crisp of like a new low, it's like, just wait, just chill out, relax. Because obviously you need to try and see if you've got momentum instead of just hoping it's going to go up. Because it doesn't always go up. So yeah, I think that is me sorted for today. Are we going to see a very, very interesting price action in May? I think so. I think the sentiment overall in the entire crypto market and the stock market is very low at the minute. I think people cannot be asked. I think people are sick of the same crap that appears on here. I genuinely believe that, and I am asking questions on my Twitter. I'm asking questions all over the place. Are you fed up? Do we think that some stuff is overvalued? Do we think the market's going to turn? The answers are no. And unless something massively happens, like huge happens, I can't see that changing at the moment. I genuinely don't see that changing. So there we go. Sell in May. I wouldn't say sell, but I'd say definitely just hang on and hold out and see what's going to happen. If we get a genuine trend, and it's a downtrend, you don't want to be buying dips. That's all I'm going to say. We are currently not in a down, like we are in a downtrend on the overall spectrum, i.e. if we're looking at the entire market in terms of this, if we create new lows and we start revisiting 32, and then if we ever lose 32 and we go down to 23, not going to be good if you're buying dips here, is it? So be careful. We need momentum to go up to start getting a bit more confident. A lot of altcoins, final piece, apologies, a lot of altcoins are down like 60-70% already. You're not going to miss the boat on those in like a couple of weeks if BTC starts to gain strength. So yeah, patience key.